Okay. I'm going to try and sound as positive about this as I can, but I gotta really admit, now that I'm sitting down and thinking about the show, this is probably the worst handled Marvel show they've done yet.
You think so?
Because I'm sitting here thinking they made a big deal about her best friend and her getting in a fight. They talked for roughly 2 minutes. It was resolved. She got held captive, punched 2 people. She got in a thing with her uncle. Sorry, your dad died. I'll help you. He ended up shooting one guy. Biscuits was in an episode, helped her. Then he ran over some stuff with a truck. They kind of had 2 minute conversations with a person to help a second later, and it didn't feel like there was a whole lot of closure, plot. It kind of just felt like stuff happened so they could get Fisk out of there and Maya done with. Because I'm going to be honest with you, the only thing substantial that happened out of this was the end credit scene.
I will say this though. I still contend that they believe they had a good thing going.
I don't doubt that they think they had something going. That's why I said worst handled.
Yeah, it's all in the execution. I think this could have been fleshed out. Maybe not even
this needed 3 more episodes of like actually the characters talking to each other.
Yeah.
Because this was 4 episodes of no one get near me. I hate all of you. Get away from me. I'm going to hurt you. No, we're not doing that. We'll be there. We're happy. I guess we worked it out. Let's go have supper.
It needed a bit more fleshing out, but I also will admit the last like third of this episode was kind of fun.
It was kind of fun. I'm trying to figure out what they meant by the end of this episode. So I like how they got her name. Echo's really cool. The echoes of her ancestors through that, and how maybe that bird is her mom spiritually looking over her. They never confirmed that, but whatever. They go through all this. They try to attack the powwow. It doesn't work out, and then he gets to the end with the thing with Wilson. So he's still supposed to be a villain. Was that her taking away his anger issues?
I think that's what she was trying to do.
Because he asks what she did, and it didn't seem definitive, and then he just walked away. I don't mean to sound mean, but this was the most inconclusive show they've made yet. Like, it just kind of happened. Again, it's execution. I don't know where they went. This script could have used another 5 months of prep.
It makes me wonder now, like, is this the reason why they just dumped it all at once? Because this show just happened to be the casualty of Marvel and Disney in general changing course, making adjustments, and by the time this episode or this series wrapped, it was just too late to fix anything.
It could be, or like it wasn't worth fixing anything, because all they needed to get was Fisk out of it, because he needs to be there for Daredevil. Because guess what? At the end of this, they're looking for a mayor. Has anyone who read some comics know it's going to be really bad for Matthew Murdock when we see him next?
Mm-hmm.
When Fisk becomes mayor, he ruins his life. Like, all of it. I would love to know Josh Lozano's thoughts on this.
Oh, yeah.
It's so weird. this is the most perplexed I've been with how they've dealt with a show ever. Like, I just couldn't, and again, this is down to execution, and that script needed worked. They felt like they were rejiggering what the show was every episode.
Yeah, because I
And I'm not trying to sound mean. I'm just honestly trying to think what happened. Because even if you didn't like the other ones, they were consistent the whole way through.
To an extent, most of the problems with like the other shows, it's like they had a great penultimate episode, and then the finale just kind of fizzles out.
Yeah.
Except for Loki. Loki's finales were great.
And She-Hulk. I don't give a shit what anyone says. That show was fantastic. Y'all are just haters. Y'all did not deserve Tiana Maslany. But yeah, this one I think fell victim to, it was near the end when stuff was getting shaken up. They had already set out the budget to get it done, and they kind of just set it out the pasture.
It really does feel like that, which is a shame, because as far as this episode as a standalone, I actually really liked it. It's just the road to get there was they could have had a longer runway to get there.
And I feel they should have had a longer time before she had her powers in the last 5 minutes of this episode. Because, to be honest, other than helping Chula and Bonnie fight, she uses it for 2 seconds on Fisk. And the rest of the time, she was beating the living shit out of groups of 10s of 20s of people without powers. The process is lost on me on this one. I just don't know.
So Marvel Assembled is doing their episode on Echo. I think it comes out January 31st. And I'll admit I haven't watched any of those documentaries, but this is the one that I'm the most fascinated to check out.
I need to know what the thought process was. I need to know. This is one of the smallest casted shows they've ever made, and yet somehow I felt like the characters didn't know each other. And they were all 90% of them were related.
Yeah, that's kind of a problem when you're not giving your characters enough time to establish these relationships. And I get it too. In context, Maya's been gone for 20 years, so she's gonna have it's gonna be awkward with the rest of her family. But still, I was in like the last 5 minutes when she crashed their barbecue. Yeah. I was really hoping for like just a final embrace between Maya and Bonnie. It never happened.
No, they kind of feel like they didn't know how to put the point on the plot lines and moments they wanted. Her and Bonnie talked for like 2 minutes this entire show. She almost talked for her longer while she was translating ASL for Fisk.
Yeah.
And again, I don't mean to sound negative, but just it's all hitting me like a brick wall. Because this has also been the longest pause between a straight run-up that we've done. And where it's marinated with me, and I don't know what happened.
This is a tough one, because on the whole, I would say I'm mostly positive on the series. It definitely has pacing issues. It definitely feels like it. I'll say this. I'll say a couple things that it's not. it's not pointless in that Maya's story didn't
No.
deserve to be told.
The idea behind Maya's story is great, but it felt like they tripped over every single hurdle, got caught in the fence post, and then tripped over the tennis net on the way there.
Yeah.
I was more than fine with them showing some ancestral stuff, struggling with family issues. You're talking to the right guy. I didn't see my dad's side of my family, my birth fathers, for 6th grade. I would have been 12. Saw him last year. 21 years? Other than one Christmas? And it was at my father's funeral. I'm the guy you're connecting with for this. So trust me, I'm all there for that type of story. But I think they just went, cool, we're going to have a disconnected family story. What's the family going to be? They deal with Fisk. Cool. What's the family going to be? One of them's names is Biscuits. Cool. What's the family going to be? And then they gave them characters about 5 minutes before they start shooting. Again, this is probably the most negative I've been of anything. Because, like, every other time, they have a great main character, and they have that here. Maya's fantastic. They have a great antagonist. They have that here. Fisk is fantastic. But the other thing, and I'm noticing it's lacking in here, every other Marvel show they've had, and especially coming off of She-Hulk, this really shows, they have a fucking wall-to-wall, bombastically, expertly written backup cast.
Yep.
This one had the ideas of one, but not the execution. And I'm thinking that's where the main problem is. Because in these shows, they are the things that get you from A to B. That's kind of how they run all these shows. They have the main characters that don't meet until the very end, in the most parts, for the climax. And you have to have the side characters bring you through it. None of the Marvel shows really on there except for, I guess, technically WandaVision, because Agatha was there the entire time and you just didn't know. You really do. Oh, and I guess Moon Knight would be the other one. You really don't interact with the main villain that much till the end. So they kind of followed that formula again and then didn't give you much of the in-between. And then it kind of shows when they're trying to resolve it all at the end. And you really don't know where to go with them because he didn't give them much in the episodes they had.
But I really just think at the end of the day, this show just it just could use more time in the oven.
It could have. They should have delayed it. What would you have lost?
And if anything, you would have gained by putting more putting more substance in this.
Yeah, and you know what else you would have gained? Timing. Because I guarantee you the last episode of this ties directly into Daredevil.
Oh, yeah.
There was literally no loss in waiting. You could have almost rejiggered the whole show by the time fucking Daredevil's going to be done. They're basically restructuring the whole fucking thing.
Keep talking. I'm going to look up when Daredevil Born Again was.
They just started shooting like this week again.
Oh, no, I know. I meant like when they initially wanted to release this.
Oh, I don't remember if they had an initial release date. They might have. But yeah, everything could have been gained from giving this show, like, go ahead.
So the series was originally scheduled to debut in early 2024. So
would have been close, I guess.
So depending on your interpretation, it feels like Echo is like a placeholder for Daredevil.
It's one of those weird things where when they I wonder if they just didn't have anything of the set where they could even go back at this point because they've known for a while that Daredevil was not what they wanted it to be. And I wonder if when they shot and finished Echo, they went, we need to redo Daredevil.
That it's possible.
Because we know next to nothing. And here's the thing that I need people to understand that I've hated every single time the report came up. They never said they killed off Foggy and
Karen.
They just said they weren't in this season. Everyone jumped to assume they killed them off.
Yeah, not a fan of that assumption.
There was no even reason to do it. Just because Happy's not in an Iron Man film, which he was in all of them, it doesn't mean he was dead. Why do we assume that? The characters and the actors never even said they killed the characters off. Stop doing this, people. It's stupid.
Yep.
And now it's still just a rumor that they're going to be in the show. Not confirmed.
Well,
unless I missed something, because Marvel hasn't put out an official statement on that I've seen.
You're right. Marvel hasn't put out an official statement, and I hate to bring this up because I don't really like to give attention to leaks, but I've seen some set photos.
Okay, fine, all right. But again, I love everyone jumped. It's been, even if there wasn't, it was the second they said we're rewriting it. Foggy and Karen are back in it. Good to announce it. They announced 2 minutes ago that they were redoing the show. What? You're just, thank you. I'm glad you abuse people's naivete to get clicks. Can we stop this shit?
Seriously. I've had a problem with clickbait for, well, do you remember the website Movie Pilot?
You just unlocked a core memory that I'd forgotten. Oh my God.
This was before we got this covered.
That was my earliest one. I completely forgot about Movie Pilot until you mentioned it. That looked and then there was Comic Book Cast. That was another big one. And then comicbookmovie.com took over for them.
And then there's Cosmic Book News.
Yes, that's another my favorite. And then there was just Grace Randolph existing.
Yeah, I'm glad I blocked her on Twitter.
She used to be very just okay. Here was the thing. I only what was that show called? Bleeding Ink?
Think About the Ink.
Think About the Ink or something like that. Where she actually had like in-depth talking about comic book characters and stuff like that. It was really fine. She wasn't a self-centered, imaginative bitch back then. It was fantastic. So then when I wasn't looking into like movie news and all this stuff until like came around the previous website, I was like, why does everyone hate Grace Randolph so much? And then I started like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, just if I could have what I want is the Death Note for websites.
Yes.
I wouldn't need it for anything. I don't think I'd come up with anything I want more. If I could get it to just get rid of that, I would get rid of almost every single movie website except for Collider, Variety, and Hollywood Reporter. And sometimes Deadline.
Yeah.
If you just have those four, the entire world would be better. Because 90% of movie news would be not clickbait and accurate. I wouldn't know what the world would be then. New ones would pop up and I would strike them down as soon as they came. I would be like fucking, I would be like Light when he's fucking eating potato chips. Yeah! Striking that bitch clean off the pad.
Does it have to be relegated to websites? Because there are a bunch of Twitter profiles that
I would just, well, in my opinion, it would be websites, Twitter, anything URL connected that I could get into. Just The people
Okay.
connected to them, no. But the people that were connected to them, here would be the little note that I'd write in the death note. They forgot they ever owned the thing and they would never try again.
There we go.
That would be my little side clausel. You know, like how if you're writing I don't know if you've seen Death Note, but if you write in the Death Note and you don't specify the death, they die of a heart attack. My little causal rule for all of them would be forget they ever had a website and try it again, unless I came up with something else.
Fair.
Oh, if I had it, my God, I'd fix this world so fast. There would get to a day where I just went, Google, gone. The world was better without you.
That'll
All
be
I
the
need
day.
is Facebook Messenger. That's all I care about. Anyway, the concept of the show was good. Execution bad. Post-credit scene great. I can't wait for Daredevil.
Same.
Sorry I was overly negative in this, but this was the one where it just hit me like a brick wall that there was trouble.
Let me ask you this. Which do you think was worse? Echo or Secret Invasion?
Secret Invasion was consistent.
Until the last episode.
The last episode went haywire, but the ideas of it was him dealing with being okay with just being him, not needing help, doing all this. Up until the last episode, all those themes were consistent. And they also had really good side characters in this.
Yeah.
The villain was a bag of dog shit, but everything else was great. Execution a little but the great side characters that kept you along. An idea of a story that was great. Could that have used some more script writing? Absolutely.
Mhm.
But I'm thinking maybe 3 weeks to bat around the ideas to filler it out and then give better lines to the villain, whose name I cannot remember.
And also
Gravik.
and also keep Maria Hill alive.
Yes. Pointless. The stupidest thing. That I will tell you, that decision was worse than anything that Echo did. I'll give you that fully. Them killing Maria Hill was fucking stupid. There was no point to it. We gained nothing. You could have made it look like he killed Maria Hill. And then her body was destroyed in the explosion. And then they find Maria Hill in a bunker somewhere. Just like with Rhodey.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess that he wouldn't have had the scene with Maria's mom for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
You didn't need it. Maria Hill's great. You're running out of mainstay old school characters that you can kind of say people still liked. You need to stop doing that. Because as much as I'm going to stay around, some people aren't if you keep knocking all them off the list.
Yep.
Because you're going to need some people that are just chilling around Sword. You know who that could have been? Maria Hill.
Exactly.
All right. Let's get on out of here. Mike, where can everybody find you?
You guys can find me on various social media at Captain K42. You guys can check out my quick thoughts on letterboxd.com/CoachK42. And you can follow Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook and that place at Ren Pop Culture. You can also find us on YouTube, on Podchaser. Please consider supporting our Patreon at patreon.com/Renegade Pop Culture. Listen to all of our podcasts on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. And last but not least, everything can be found at renegadepopculture.com. You can escape, so do we.
Absolutely. You can find me everywhere at Organoid Zero, mainly on Twitch and YouTube. Until next time, we will see you all later.